Hello everyone, I am going to explain some basic concepts from complex number, and this is the third part of basic concepts from complex number chapter. So first point which we have to start is Argand plane. Now in that the first point is the complex number x plus iota y which corresponds to the ordered pair x comma y can be represented geometrically as the unique point pxy in the plane xy plane and vice versa. So its meaning is, first of all, xy plane. Xy plane is the same plane which you already had handled in your 10th class, in which x-axis is the horizontal line and y-axis is the vertical line. So that plane is named as xy plane. So in xy plane, if we are going to represent x plus iota y geometrically, then how we can represent it? By the ordered point, that is x comma y. So this is named as ordered pair because we cannot interchange their places. So first place is for the x, that is real part from the complex number, and second place is for the imaginary part from the complex number. So this ordered pair we are going to represent as point P x comma y. So like this we can represent any complex number in xy plane. And for example, suppose we have a complex number z1 equal to 2 plus 4 iota, then the ordered pair corresponding to this complex number is going to be 2 comma 4. The first place is for the real part, here the real part is 2, and the second place is for the imaginary part, that is 4. So this complex number in xy plane we are going to represent by 2 comma 4, and so I assume that point as A 2 comma 4 in xy plane. In the same way, the next complex number I took an example, that is 0 plus iota 1 iota, which corresponds to the ordered pair 0 comma 1, because here real part is 0 and imaginary part is 1, and represented geometrically by the unique point B 0 comma 1. Now just see in the graph how we have represented. So first point is 2 comma 4 and the second point is 0 comma 1. So graph is A 2 comma 4. So x-axis is 2 and y is 4. So it's going to be 2 comma 4. And the second point B is 0 comma 1. So x is 0 and y is 1. So B lies on the y-axis. Now point P I put only, generally I took a place and there I located point P. So this is general representation of a complex number. So P points coordinate are x comma y. Now so this graph is named as xy plane, and like this we can represent the complex number in the graph by the ordered pair. And now if you will focus, then this distance, that is OP distance, if we have to calculate the OP distance, then we are going to use the distance formula. Here I wrote in short the distance formula which you already had learnt in your 10th class. The distance between 2 point formula is x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. So this x comma y is going to be your x2 y2, and origins coordinate are 0 comma 0. So if you have to put these values in this distance formula, the distance OP length is going to be modulus z, that is root x square plus y square. So OP length is actually the modulus of z. In the same way, here also if you have to find out OA distance, then with the help of distance formula it is going to be the modulus of Z1 complex number. So this in detail we will have a point afterwards. Now the definition of Argand plane. So the plane having a complex number assigned to each of its point is called the complex plane or the Argand plane. Now since this xy plane is we use to represent the complex number, so this plane is named as Argand plane. So Argand plane is nothing new, simply a xy plane which we are using to represent the complex number. So here every complex number we can represent on the xy plane, as well as every point from the xy plane we can represent as a complex number, and all points are going to be unique. That's why the definition is the plane having a complex number assigned to each of its point is called complex plane or the Argand plane. So it is the definition of Argand plane. Now the conclusions which we can derive from the previous graph just now which I explained. Modulus of complex number in Argand plane. So what was the modulus? The distance between point and the origin. So from figure we can see that modulus of complex number in the Argand plane, that is mod z is equal to complex number mod formula you already know, that is x square plus y square, is the distance between point P and origin 0, 0. So this I already explained here. If we have to calculate OP distance, then we have to use the distance formula. By using the distance formula, when you will put the values, you are going to get the distance as root x square plus y square, and root x square plus y square for complex number, it is named as the modulus. That's why the modulus of complex number. So in Argand plane, where the modulus of complex number exists, it is the distance between the point and the origin. Now axis in Argand plane. So in Argand plane there are two axes, x-axis and y-axis. So here student, first you just see here the ordered pair, very carefully you have to understand, you must understand it. So if we represent the complex number by x plus iota y, the first place is for the real part and the second place is for the imaginary part. So x-axis is representing the real part and y-axis is going to represent the imaginary part. That's why the axis in Argand plane. So in this topic you can understand it as the x-axis and y-axis in Argand plane are called respectively the real axis and imaginary axis. So x-axis, since x-axis, x coordinate is used to represent the real part, that's why it is named as real axis, and y-axis is used to represent the imaginary part, that's why it is named as imaginary axis. So in Argand plane, instead of x-axis we are going to use the word real axis, and instead of y-axis we are going to use the word imaginary axis. Now next topic, that is point second, polar representation of a complex number. Let the point Pxy represents the non-zero complex number z equal to x plus iota y. So this already we had understood that if a complex number we have to represent in Argand plane, then the ordered pair is going to be xy, and we assume that point as P, and let the directed line segment OP be the length r and theta be the angle which OP makes with the positive direction of x-axis as shown in the figure. So here whatever detail I wrote here, that I am going to explain with the help of figure. So suppose the P point is representing the complex number z is equal to x plus iota y, then this OP length we already understood, it's going to be the modulus. So this modulus we assumed as small r, and the angle between the OP and with the positive side of x-axis we assumed as theta. So from figure, once again just carefully just understand. So what is r? R is the length of OP, which is equal to the modulus of complex number, and theta is the angle between OP and positive side of x-axis. So just see what I wrote here. Let the directed line segment OP be the length r and theta be the angle which OP makes with the positive direction of x-axis as shown in the figure. So I hope now it's clear to you that what is r and what is theta. Now we move to the next step. Now suppose if we have to draw a perpendicular from P point to the x-axis, then the perpendicular will draw like this, and I assume that perpendicular as PM. So I wrote here let PM perpendicular on x-axis, then above figure becomes. So same figure is going to convert as like this. So from P point we have drawn the perpendicular, and its foot I assumed as M. So PM is perpendicular on x-axis, and theta is the angle between OP and the positive side of x-axis, and this is your R, that is modulus. Now in this right angle triangle, in front of 90 degree, whatever side is there, that is hypotenuse. So this H is for the hypotenuse, and this P is for the perpendicular, that is vertical line, and horizontal line is going to be the base for the right angle triangle. Now if this P points coordinate are x comma y, then this gap is going to be x, because students, if we have to locate here 2 comma 4, then x is going to be 2 and y is going to be 4. So from here to here it's going to be 2. So whatever be the first ordered pairs, first element, that will represents the x-axis coordinate, that is going to be the distance between point O to M. So this is your x, and y is from P to M, the gap is named as y. Now from here we are going to find out some trigonometric ratios. So from right angle triangle OPM, so where is the right angle triangle? OPM. So in this right angle triangle, the base angle is theta, so cos theta. Cos theta's formula is B upon H, that is base upon hypotenuse. So what is base here? X, and what is hypotenuse here? R. So from here, if we have to calculate x, then x is going to be r cos theta. In the same way, we are going to calculate y. So y is p and h. Ph is going to be sin theta. So we will use sin theta formula now. Trigonometric ratio sin theta is perpendicular upon hypotenuse. In that, we are going to put the value of p and s from the figure, that is going to be y upon r. That will give us the value of y as r sin theta. Now from here we obtain the two values of x and y, that is x is r cos theta and y is r sin theta. Now this value of x and y we are going to replace in the complex number z equal to x plus iota y. So instead of this x we will replace r cos theta, and instead of y we are going to replace r sin theta. So after replacing the value, it will appear like this. Now in both you can see r is common, so take r common. So this is your polar representation of a complex number. So what is r here? R is the modulus of the complex number, and theta is the angle between the line OP and positive x axis. So this is your polar form, and it's your simple form of complex number. Now just see the next, whatever the conclusions we can make from this last step that I wrote in next steps. So z is equal to r cos theta plus iota sin theta is said to be the polar form of complex number. Here r is the formula of r is square root of x square plus y square, that is nothing new, its modulus of z is called modulus of z. Theta is called the argument. Now it is a two new words you have to understand. Actually the theta is the angle between OP and positive x-axis, and there is some particular words are there for theta. So theta is called argument or amplitude of z, which is denoted by argument z. So how to represent theta? In short form, argument ARGZ. So there are two words for it, either amplitude of z or argument of z. So in our book argument is there, so I use this. So these notes I made from the NCERT 11th class books, you can refer that. Now principal argument. So in the same argument a particular word is there, principal argument. So the values of theta satisfying minus pi, then means theta, if the theta's value is greater than minus pi and but less than equal to pi, all such values of theta is named as principal argument. So because theta is not going to be unique, there are going to be many values which can satisfy the particular condition, but all the values of theta which lies between, which is greater than minus pi but less than equal to pi, are named as principal argument of z, and it is again represented by same argument z, which is we had used here, same. Now the next topic we are going to start, that is quadratic equation with discriminant less than 0. So you already know the standard form of quadratic equation which we had used in 10th class, that is ax square plus bx plus c. Now what are a, b, c? They are going to be some real number. So ABC belongs to real number. Capital R is for the real number set. And here A cannot be 0. Why? Because if A is going to be 0, so if we replace the value here, this complete term is going to be 0. So there is no term which have x square, and if x square vanish away, then it's not going to be a quadratic equation, it's going to be a linear equation. So for a quadratic equation, it's very necessary that at least one term should present which have x square variable. That's why here A cannot be 0. So this is the standard form of quadratic equation. Now discriminant. So discriminant formula you already used in 10th class, that is b is equal to b square minus 4ac. Now if it is less than 0, means b is less than 0, in that situation b square minus 4ac is less than 0. Then there is no real root present for the given equation. So this also we already knew it, we had used in 10th class. In 10th class, if we have to solve the quadratic equation, in only two situations we used to solve, either discriminant equal to 0 or discriminant greater than 0. For less than 0, simply we used to write down that this quadratic equation have no real roots, and then we used to leave the solution there only. We not used to solve it further. But now in 11th class, we have to solve the situation. So if real roots are not present, then which kind of roots are present? So real supposite is going to be imaginary roots. So meaning of this line is, the other meaning is also there. No real root present means imaginary roots exist in this situation. So this point we had skipped in our 10th class because that time it was beyond of our syllabus. Now we are going to find out the imaginary root also, because now we have the concept of iota. That's why. So now we have to find out a formula for finding this situation, to solve the situation. So since b square minus 4ac is less than 0, conclusion is, if it is less than 0, then surely this term is going to be negative. So if this term is negative, then when you will reverse the position, it is going to be positive. For example, 2 minus 7, if you will subtract, surely the answer is going to be negative. But if you will reverse their position, then 7 minus 2 is going to be positive. So conclusion is, if b square minus 4ac is negative, then 4ac minus b square is going to be positive. So the main quadratic formula is this, but if we will take minus common from here, then it's going to be 4ac minus b square. And now when you will separate the root, then it's going to be root minus 1 multiplied by root 4ac minus b square. Now this root minus 1 is what? In our complex number chapter, it's iota. So this we have to replace by iota. So this is the formula for the quadratic equation which have no real roots. So this is nothing new, students. Simply a iota is appearing here, and here instead of b square minus 4ac, we have to use 4ac minus b square. So this topic is completed. Now the most important topic is how to calculate argument. Before few steps, I mentioned that theta's value should belong from minus pi to more than minus pi to less than equal to pi. But how to calculate theta? That's very important topic. So for it, first, as we know that the polar form of complex number z equal to x plus iota y is r cos theta plus iota r sin theta. So this now I think it's very clear to you how we calculated it. Now from here, if you are going to compare them, then x is what? R cos theta, and y is r sin theta, which we actually calculated also. Now if you have to divide this equation 2 from equation 1, so when you will divide here, we will get in left hand side y upon x, and here r and r will cancel, and you will get here sin theta upon cos theta. Now sin upon cos is what? Tan theta. Sorry. Now you can write it as tan theta is equal to y upon x also. Now if you want theta only, then tan will go in the other side, and it's going to be tan inverse y upon x. So this is the formula for theta equal to, that is argument formula is tan inverse y upon x, that is imaginary part upon real part. Now argument of a complex number z depends on the quadrant in which z lies. So this formula is not sufficient. It also will change according to the place of z belongs on the argand plane. So first of all, we have to decide that the complex number belongs in which quadrant, and according to that it is going to be changed. Now how it's going to be, we'll understand in next phase. So first of all, just see, so there are 4 quadrants, students, you already know. So this is our first quadrant, then second quadrant, and this is third quadrant, and this one is fourth quadrant. Now in this quadrant, x and y both are positive, because here we have positive values of x and here we have negative positive values of y, and here x is negative but y is positive, and in this quadrant both are negative, and in this quadrant y is negative and x is positive. So just see the complex numbers coordinates. Z, when both are positive, it lies in the first quadrant, and when x is negative and y is positive, it will lie in the second quadrant, and when x is negative and y also negative, then it will lie in the third quadrant, and when x is positive and y is negative, then it will lie in the fourth quadrant. So you don't have to learn it, you already have this concept that where x is positive and y is negative, according to that the complex number will move to the respective quadrants. Now the formula of argument. So if x lies in the first quadrant, then the formula of argument is going to be tan inverse y upon x. Same formula which we derived just now, same. But if it will lies in the second quadrant, that time the formula will change as pi minus tan inverse modulus of y upon x. Modulus of y upon x means it's going to be the positive. So, and if it is lies in the third quadrant, then just its mirror image. Mirror image is you have to do its just opposite, multiply it by minus sign. So when you will multiply it by minus sign, what you will get here? Minus pi n plus. So it's going to be minus pi n plus. And if it lies in the fourth quadrant, then mirror image of this. So if it is positive, then it's going to be here negative. So you have to learn only the formulas of theta for first quadrant and second quadrant, and for third and fourth quadrant you just interchange their respective sign, then you will get the formula. So all these formulas I wrote in points, that is if x and y are greater than zeros, then the complex number lies in first quadrant, and in that situation amplitude, or you can say argument, is going to be tan inverse y upon x. Here modulus is not necessary because both are positive, that's why, but if you apply then also answer is not going to be differ. Now when x is less than 0 and y is greater than 0, then it lies in the second quadrant, and in that situation the formula of pi is going to be pi minus tan inverse y upon x. Here I took the general complex number, I not change the sign here, but according to this automatically in the question sign will change. So in the same way, C and D point is for the third quadrant and for the fourth quadrant respectively. So here some very important formulas I discussed, which are already present in our NCERT book, and some topics like this how to calculate the amplitude, these formulas are not clearly given in our NCERT book. So if you want to write, you can write it and learn. Unless these formulas are very easy, once you just understand it properly, you will get it. Further, if you have any doubt, you can write in comment so that I can clear out your doubts. Thank you.